Good morning, friends. I'm Ben Hayes, pastor of First Baptist Church, Dadeville, Alabama, bringing you our thought for the day on this Wednesday morning, and I hope that you're having a great Wednesday so far. Would you join me in praying for Glenn and Connie Elmore this morning? Brother Glenn is having cancer surgery at MD Anderson Hospital in Texas this morning, and we're lifting him up to the Lord, praying for great results. So be much in prayer for them. As we look at our study in Proverbs, we've been journeying through the book, and we're in Proverbs chapter 24 again today. And I love the way that King Solomon does this. He gives us some really deep, heavy wisdom, some instruction and insight into life and humanity. And then right in the middle of it, he kind of just gives us a little drop of joy. And that's kind of what I want to look at today as I look at several little verses in this chapter. But in verse 26, he makes this statement. He says, "He who gives a right answer kisses the lips." You have to stop and think about that for just a minute. He who gives a right answer kisses the lips. Now, what exactly is he talking about there? Well, we get the right answer part. That's a good thing that we give right answers, that when the questions are asked, we know the right answer, we do the right thing, we make the right decisions, we just do right, we live right, and we follow the precepts and principles of God's Word. And when the questions come, we can stand in full assurance that we are saying the right things, giving the right answers. But what does that have to do with kissing the lips? Well, I don't know about you, but if you watch any of the shows and you see the way that they used to greet one another back in the olden days, they would kiss the cheeks on each side of the cheek, and it was a sign of honor and respect. And that's okay. You like to be honored and respected. We all do. But is there anything more frustrating than for someone you love to just give you a kiss on the cheek? Um, Now, I want you to get this. I want you to understand what I'm saying here. There's just something special about that connection that comes from kissing the lips, and there's joy that's there. And I think that's what King Solomon is reminding us of. It's kind of like being in love with somebody, and they say, "Well, you're just like my brother," or "You're just like my sister." It's frustrating, and there's nothing better than that intimate moment where the kiss on the lips comes. And so he's comparing these things. If we give a right answer, it's it's like we're just embracing someone and showing our love as well as our respect to them. And so I thought it was just kind of an interesting way to start the morning as we look at the book of Proverbs. But he continues and he says, "Prepare your outside work, make it fit for yourself in the field, and afterward build your house." And it's about priorities here. Prepare your outside work. Make sure you have it lined up. Know what you're going to do. Make your plans. I'm a firm believer in those of us who fail to plan to fail. That old cliche, I think, is very true. And so we need to prepare our outside work. I'll never forget that when I was growing up, we would plant huge gardens. And before you could ever get to the point of planting the seed, there was a lot of work that had to be done, the plowing and all of those things that had to take place. But also you had to make sure the equipment was in good shape before you could get started. And there was just lots of little things that had to be done. But if you wanted to have a successful harvest, you have to follow the steps. You don't plant the seeds and then plow. You don't water the ground and then plant the seeds. You have to do it in order. So prepare your outside work. Make it fit for yourself in the field, and afterward build your house. In those days, back in King Solomon's days, the landowners, the farmers, would basically they would find their place. They would begin to clear the land. They would make arrangements for what they needed to do, but lots of times they would have uh, to live in some temporary dwelling until they could build their house. And it was the wise thing to do because that way you can get everything done the way that you wanted it to rather than having to just throw everything together. And so King Solomon is just giving us some basic wisdom here and some guidance in the way that we ought to live our lives. And I wonder today, how are you living your life? Have you made plans for today? I mean, not for tomorrow or next week, but plans for today. When you got up this morning, did you just go to the Father and say, Father, would you show me how I need to order my day today that I might glorify you in some way? See, that's important for those of us who are believers, because our number one goal, our number one priority is to please the Father. And so I hope that you please the Father today, and I hope that you give right answers, and I hope that you enjoy the intimacy that comes from the love that the Father has for you. God bless.